Welcome everyone to the Balearic Yacht Show. My name is Rhea, I am your host, and today I am very pleased to be hosting this panel for women in yachting. I have some amazing women with me today. I would like to ask first, how many women captains, engineers, deckhands, or business owners have you worked with in yachting? Can't imagine that many. The panel today consists of 3 women that have challenged the status quo and are challenging others to do the same. I'd like to introduce the panel now. Captain Kelly Gordon. She has her USCG 300-ton ticket, 10 years in yachting as a mate, engineer, and now captain. Originally from the Midwest, now based out of Chicago, Illinois. Hi.
Hi, Rhea. Thanks for having me here. That's my USCG 500-ton ticket, not 300, but hey, that's okay. Thanks for having me here, and it's a little chilly here in Chicago, but good to be here. And I can't wait for this panel. I think it's going to be awesome.
Nice. Well, and next we have Sheila Ruffin. She is the boss at SoCa Caribbean Yacht Charters. She's a lawyer from Washington, D.C., and she is an outspoken advocate for diversity, equality, and inclusion in the yachting industry. Welcome, Sheila.
Hello, everyone. Good morning from Washington, D.C.
And last but not least, of course, Jenny Matthews. Everyone should know Jenny Matthews, but if you don't, let me tell you a little bit about her. She is co-founder of She of the Sea, Diversity and Inclusion in Yachting. She is an officer of the watch. She has 8 years in yachting, and of course, her and her partner launched the Diversity Pledge this year, and the timing couldn't have been better. Welcome, Jenny.
Amazing. Thanks for being here.
Right. Well, let's get to it. What I would like to know is, from the beginning, what were the biggest struggles that you had in the industry, and how did you overcome them? Let's go with Jenny first.
Right. Well, I think given the topic of this conversation, I think it's good to acknowledge that probably one of the larger barriers that women face who want to work in the deck or engineering departments, they're the same kind of barriers that men who want to work in the interior face, and also basically anyone who is not white and from England, South Africa, New Zealand, or Australia, right? There's a certain profile, and those kind of barriers form basically opportunity gaps. We don't quite get the same opportunities when it comes to jobs, progression, and so that can, have all sorts of implications into someone's career, how long it takes you to progress, how the access that you have to mentors, those kinds of things. But I do think it's also worth, my opinion, also in my own personal journey, is that a lot of the challenges that I've faced in my career have been to do with my own, upskilling, needing to practice things, needing to get better, growing up, maturing. So, yeah.
I have to say, from the start, I was lucky to have bounced into a mentor who took me under his wing and launched me off into this career path. But after that, when I left that yacht and moved on to others, it was hard to get someone to give me a chance. It was like I was passed over as soon as they saw the name Kelly come across the CV and they saw my photo and saw that I was a woman. They didn't look any further. They just passed me on. And it's ironic that I was literally on a Zoom job interview right before this panel, and the manager for the fleet of yachts for this particular owner said to me, he just pops the question and changes the subject and says, do you find it interesting that you get passed over a lot of times just because you're a woman? And I was like, are you prepping me for the Balearic Yacht Show panel that we're about to have? I said, but yeah, I do. And he says, yeah, I even know other managers or owners that when they see the captain CV come across, if it's a woman, they just pass them over. They don't even look any further downfield to see what their experience is. And that's kind of with me. I've built my CV up and I've built my experience up with my 500-ton now. And they don't look any further as a woman. And it's like, come on, guys, give me a chance, because we can go transatlantic, we can go trans-Pacific, we can go same places, we can navigate, we can handle and maneuver the boat, engineer, just as well as the guys can. So it's been a very basic challenge of simply just getting noticed. And so I find for me, when I do want to apply for another job, I have to get myself in front of that person so that I can talk to them, because when they see you on paper as a woman, they just dismiss it. Or you'll see a job advert come across and the requirements are simply that you're a male. You have to be a male. So you can't even click the apply button because you're not a guy. So that's been a challenge.
And Sheila, we have spoken in the past, and you had mentioned that you have more of a trifecta of issues that you have to deal with. You are a person of color, you are a woman, and on top of that, you are a millennial. Can you tell us a bit about your struggles in the industry?
Right. Thank you so much, Rhea, for that question, and great memory, girl. So you're right. As a person of color, as a millennial, as a woman, I am a triple minority within the yacht industry that is dominated by white older men. And so one of my challenges that I have as the boss of Soca Caribbean Yacht Charters, as a yacht executive within the industry, is that I do not have a mentor. I don't have a Black woman to follow or a person of color really to follow within the industry, because we really don't exist. And if we do exist, we're not popularized. We're not really out and being publicized, because the industry is so dominated by white older men. So I have to move and shake as I go. I have to figure it out as I go, which is very difficult. I don't have anyone to say, go left, go right, go backwards, stop here, go fast, fast forward here. I'm just kind of moving and shaking and figuring out as I go. And so that's pretty difficult. The other difficulty or the challenge that I have is that I'm trying to show the yacht industry that as persons of color, as well as millennials, become more educated, that means that those demographics have more wealth. And because of that, and if the industry continues to overlook these two demographics, other tourism industries, which are competitors, such as the ski industry, will get these demographics. The ski industry has done pretty well in making sure that they bring diversity and inclusion to the forefront. And that's something that I'm hoping our industry can also mimic.
Well, and something that I find interesting, I mean, you are in yacht charters. Where is the money coming from? Right now in the US, we are seeing that there is a huge increase in yacht charters. Where is the money coming from in the US for those yacht charters? It's not traditional as it used to be.
When you say where's the money coming from, do you mean from the charter guest? What perspective are you referring to?
Well, I mean, as far as where the finances, the ultra high net worth individual in the United States has changed.
Absolutely. That's very true. Many people believe that whites are the wealthiest demographic in the United States, and that is not true. Asian Americans are the wealthiest demographic. In 2018, African Americans and Hispanic Americans combined for $119 billion towards the United States travel and tourism industry. And so again, it's kind of my job, or at least I'm taking it as my responsibility, to show the yachting industry that there is a hole in the market. Many tourism industries are not really going after persons of color and millennials, and it's time for us to do that. Now, when I say tourism industries, I'm talking about luxurious and state-of-the-art industries, those amazing industries that give people a upscale experience. And because of that, we really need to go after these demographics, and we need to go after them now. Regarding millennials, I have to speak up for my demographic. I love my baby boomers, but baby boomers are dying. And so we have to get my demographic, millennials, right now. In 2016, approximately 74.1 million baby boomers were in the United States, but by 2050, it will be 16.6 million. And so that diminished capacity of baby boomers shows us that it's time to get the millennial demographic right now.
Well, and that sort of leads into my next question is how can people like you and companies in general make sure the yachting seascape is more inclusive? And of course, Jenny, this is where you come in because through She of the Sea, you guys in a very short period of time have created quite an extensive change and people are starting to talk as a result. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, She of the Sea started off as just us looking for a community and really wanting to know if other women were out there. And as my personal education in this conversation evolved, so did kind of really understanding what we all have to gain as an industry by really embracing this change. And the good news is we don't have to start from scratch. So this conversation is just starting in yachting now over the last couple of years, but it's been going on for decades in the rest of the real world, as the crew sometimes call it. So, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. And that's a lot of what we did with She of the Sea is that we reached out to these incredible organizations and individuals that have been doing this for years. And this avalanche of data and research out there, people have been implementing strategies and measuring the impact of those strategies for a long time now. So for example, we know quotas don't work. We don't have to even go down that path, avoid it with a 10-foot pole, quotas are out. But we do know that basically we're addressing the talent pipeline. So that's all about recruitment, retention, and progression. It's about the story that we tell within the industry about who can do what and who should do what. And it's as much about that as it is to the outside world, like to the owners. Who should be on a yacht? Who's welcome here? Who's this industry for? So this is all kind of what we're doing with the pledge is providing insight into these strategies that have been proven in the outside world that are going to benefit all the major stakeholders of our industry by embracing. So visual and verbal representation. That's not just advertising or panels, and it's panels like these, and having women and people of color, not just talking about the fact that we are women and that we're people of color, it's talking about the things that we're passionate about and that make us professionals, talking about technical things, talking about the industry, being presented as, authoritative voices on topics, hiring and placement practices, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this later, but actually collecting data so that we can see where we are and how effective we're being as we make these changes. That's really important.
Well, it's ironic that you should talk about data because Sheila had approached me just a couple of days ago in regards to any research studies or studies that have been done on diversity in yachting. And I did reach out to quite a few individuals within the community of yachting and organizations. And there wasn't a single person that was able to get back to me with any studies that have been done whatsoever. And so further, I asked Jenny if she as well had some data put together, conclusive data for women in the industry. And again, there was none. So that's pretty much, She of the Sea is doing some collecting of data on both of these topics, and hopefully by February maybe, or we're going to see some results.
Absolutely. So we were, we've got WhatsApp groups and there's Facebook and everything, but we're really like, how many of us are there actually out there? And so we went to various different sources. There's much more data, conclusive data in the kind of commercial shipping world. But let's look at our industry. It values privacy almost above anything else. So it's not really a surprise that we don't have data. We barely can really know how many crew there actually are, or what the fleet actually is. So it's not so much of a surprise, but we do actually have to create that. So that's what we've done now. So we are working with our 58 signatories, and we are creating a snapshot of our industry through data contributions that are basically going to show not just what's happening at sea, but also what's happening ashore. How many women, how many different ethnicities races do we have involved in the industry? And not just numbers and statistics, but also, are all the women secretaries or do we have women in the boardroom? So really creating this comprehensive snapshot from everything from shipyards to management companies to crew agents. So it's going to be I'm very interested to see what it's going to look like, to be honest.
Well, I'm sure Sheila will be lined up right behind you waiting for that data as well, because
yeah, it'll be there for everyone and anyone. And I think, the companies that are contributing to it, hats off to them. This is really kind of groundbreaking. And I think they should all be really proud of being part of this.
Well, I mean, I think it's great because we are seeing a shift in the industry as far as women, as far as age groups, as far as diversity. And from a marketing standpoint, any company would make sense for them to have those facts and figures and those statistics in order to even do their marketing. I mean, so much relies in today's day and age on having research done. And if we don't research some of the most important things, there's no way that we possibly can move forward in any way. Kelly, what are your thoughts on how people like you and how we can change the yachting seascape and make it more inclusive?
So you guys were coming, Sheila and Jenny are coming at it from a data standpoint, and you have to have that. And I'll even say, I'm going to be right there behind you from data. I was a chemistry professor before I was a motor yacht captain, so I'm going to be so interested in the data. I can't wait for the numbers. But I'm on the ground now, and I'm on the boat and I'm at sea. And what hit me like a ton of bricks was when I brought my last boat up from Fort Lauderdale across the Gulf of Mexico, and then literally up the river system through the middle of the country from Mobile all the way up to Chicago. And it hit me then how I'm aware of how important my presentation is, and image and vibe, if you want to call it, comes off. But it really hit me when I was in the middle of the country where young women, even older women, don't see a lot of motor yachts coming through. And all the way up the river system, everywhere we stopped, young women, older women would come out and ask to take Gianna and I's photo. They would ask for our phone number. I would overhear them up to the side saying, I wonder if the captain will talk to us. Geez, I wonder if the captain will let us, see the boat. And it hit me, and I was like, we got to do something, meaning Gianna, my first mate, and I. And I was like, we have a message to send, and I didn't realize how strong of an impact we have until I hit the center of the country, where you don't see many motor yachts coming through, in that you really have to pay attention to your presence. And to change that seascape, you need to make sure you're offering a welcoming presence, a warm vibe. Be aware, be on the lookout. Is there maybe a young girl or even a young man standing off to the side that is looking like they have questions? I remember being that young mate wanting to go talk to the captain of that huge boat, but being too afraid to do it, thinking if I just stand right here and stare long enough, but not stare too much, will he notice me and invite me on the boat? So pay attention, like really be aware of your surroundings everywhere you are, and look to make a difference. Even as tired as we get running these long days on these deliveries. Look, I'm getting ready to do that same route, just in reverse on Monday. And be aware of your surroundings. Is there any age person? Yeah, I mean, we all have a soft spot as women in this industry and wanting to change that landscape. But my God, even if there was a young man that wanted to talk to me or come on board, and I did. I had that at a stop in the Illinois River. A young man asked me how he could get involved in the yachting industry, and I brought him on board and I showed him around, and he'd never been on a motor yacht before. I had a young girl that got so excited, she just squealed at the top of her lungs, and she's like, "Are you the captain?" And I mean, you're this word, I was a celebrity. And I'm like, yeah, I am. I was like, and hey, I got to go from the fuel dock to my slip for the night. I said, it's a short ride. Do you want to come? You would have swore that was like just a life-changing event for her, but it could have been. So long story long is we can change that seascape as captains and chief officers and mates who are on the ground, on the boats, at sea, by being really aware of individuals that might just be standing 5 or 10 feet away from the boat, just hoping that we'll say something to them. So reach out to them, no matter how tired you are or how much you just want to put the boat away and go to bed. Reach out to them and try to make that difference and be that mentor. Jenny, you and I had a conversation of how do you find a mentor? You know, I got lucky. I did. I just bounced into mine, but try to be that, try to foster that environment, really try to just be aware of your surroundings, to be that person to make that change. So I'm looking forward to going back down the river and across the Gulf and around Florida again, starting on Monday. Really interested to who I'm going to see. I know I'll see some of the same faces, but I know I'll see new ones, and it's like it'll be exciting. So I'll be even more aware now as to, you know, who can I help? What can I do?
Thank you. Very inspiring. Sheila, I'm going to ask you, what do you think people should take away from this panel? What message would you like to send to the yachting industry as a whole?
Yes, the thing that I want my colleagues to understand from this panel is that women of color, as well as women in general, that it should not be a taboo subject. It's something that we can bring to the forefront. I am not a big proponent on closed door meetings. I believe in ensuring that if we have open discussions and open forums, that we can better our industry as a whole. Women, we're very creative, we're very passionate, we have organizational skills and creativity that honestly our male counterparts don't always have. And so by bringing in women into the CEO positions or into the management positions, as well as the crew, it's going to help our industry. We're going to be able to get more revenue in billions of dollars if we do allow women in those positions. And then I have to again speak to being a person of color and a millennial. Again, take away that people of color are becoming more educated, we're becoming more wealthy, and it's really time to start advertising and marketing our yacht industry, yacht charters, yacht sales to those persons of color and to those millennials, so that we can get additional revenue for our industry.
Thank you, Sheila. And you know what? I hear what you're saying about closed doors, because it seems that in this industry, there's a lot that want to have those closed door meetings, but they're not willing to put it out there for the world to see. So we need to see a change that way for sure. Jenny, what do you want people, what message do you want people to take away from this panel?
I think it's really important to really acknowledge that this conversation isn't about who does what better. It's actually about how we as a collective, as an industry, are better together. And it's acknowledging that, you know, it's widely recognized now that diversity and inclusion is the bedrock of innovation. And innovation is what's going to propel us into the future. And we'll decide what this industry looks like in the next 10 years. It's not about showing up perfect. It's about showing up and joining the conversation. You know, we're all at different stages in this journey. And I would hate for people to feel that being a barrier, you know, that maybe all the ducks aren't in the line right yet. So it's not about being perfect. It's about showing up. And finally, it's not going to happen overnight. We are changing an entire industry. So we can't expect to just snap our fingers and just to have this, you know, totally different system. So patience, empathy, understanding what we all have to gain together, and just buckling up for the long haul. Basically.
Well, you know what? Change never happens overnight. Yeah. And good change and lasting change.
Lasting, long-term, this is a long-term goal.
Exactly. And that takes time.
And long-term benefits as well.
Exactly. Thank you, Jenny. Kelly, what is your message that you want people to take away from this panel?
Having that diversity is huge. So that diversity can look like making sure that your ship has women on board, men on board, men, women of color, of different ethnicities, the gamut that you have. Obviously I'm running the motor yacht, so I'm coming at it from that perspective, not so much the clerical or the yacht charter management perspective that Sheila might be, or where She of the Sea is coming. So I'm thinking in terms of actually being on board, and let's try to achieve that diversity and not just have the guys on the exterior and the girls on the interior. If we have that diversity, think about the creativity that we can have. And with that creativity, all of the ideas that are going to come about, and how much better that presentation of the motor yacht's going to be. And if you just look at a panel of any big company, or a board of directors, and look at all of the diversity that you'll have so many different people from different backgrounds. And if you take that same sort of idea and transfer it to a motor yacht, just think about how much more efficiently it's going to run and the ideas that are going to come out of it. So it shouldn't matter what our race is, what our sex is, what our ethnicity is. So I would encourage owners, managers, hiring people to look at a CV when it comes across their desk with open eyes. Look at the qualifications and try to achieve a more diverse vote.
Kelly, well, I need to say a very special thank you to our panelists for today. Of course, Jenny Matthews, She of the Sea, thank you so much for joining us and for your expertise in the matter.
Amazing, great conversation. It's just really, really exciting to see the spotlight coming onto conversations like these. So thank you for making this happen.
Of course, my heart is in it. Captain Kelly Gordon, thank you so much for your time today, all the way from Chicago, Illinois.
Thank you so much for having me here. You know how passionate I am about having women on deck, and yeah, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks again for the opportunity. It really means a lot.
Of course. Well, and I hear we might be having you back again at some stage, or hearing stories with your next ticket that you're trying to get.
Oh yeah, I'm not stopping with my 500 ton. Nope, I'm not done there, Rhea. You know that.
And Sheila, thank you ever so much again. Once again, Sheila Ruffin, she is the boss at SoCal Caribbean Yacht Charters. Thank you for your time and for your insight.
Thank you, Rhea. I think you are a rock star. You make sure that my being is being told, and I really appreciate everything you've done for me as well as people of color within the industry.
Thank you. Well, whatever I can do in the future, please let us know. Once again, this has been a thank you to our panelists, and thank you, all of you at home, for joining us. We see that women in yachting have come a long way in a short period of time, and hope that what we have discussed today will help that trend to continue, and that you take some of these ideas away with you and hopefully implement them in your own life for sure. Remember as well that if you have any questions, please do ask them in the chat below, and we will make sure to give you any answers that you may need. Thank you so much for joining us. You have been watching Women in Yachting on the Balearic Yacht Show.